Hi everyone, I'm Robin Leon with the team at Au Pair in America, and I'm here today with one of our amazing host families in California. Thank you for being here, and can you tell everyone a little bit about yourselves?
Yes, my name is Miri.
And my name's Jason.
We live in Southern California. We have three beautiful children, 6.5 boy, 4.5 girl, and 8.5-month-old baby. Two very hard working parents and just doing our best to appreciate every day.
That sounds fantastic. And I know that you are currently hosting an au pair. Can you tell us a little bit about how long you've been in the program and your experience so far?
Yeah, so we've been in the program for about 3 years. So we are on our third au pair. We've had a really wonderful time in the program. We've hosted au pairs from Israel, from Brazil, and the latest is now from Colombia. And it's just been a really wonderful experience having somebody from a different country, getting to know our children and, really helping out with two working spouses has been a tremendous help.
When we were chatting earlier today, you mentioned that you are constantly talking with friends, family, neighbors, people at the grocery store about the benefits of the au pair program. Can you talk a little bit about why you enjoy hosting and what you share with others in your area about the benefits?
So there are several reasons that we are so pleased with the au pair program. And as we continue to be a part of it, I think we continue to discover benefits. The first, we landed here just because of need. We are two working parents. We need help at sort of odd hours because it's that hour and a half in the morning and then in the evening, not necessarily during the day, was where we started before we had the baby. And it's so hard to find someone who's going to come in during those hot spot times. So initially, as we were looking at various options, having somebody who is here in our house, you can hear the baby there, having somebody who's here in our house who's able to have the flexibility to be on in the morning and on in the evening was really a game changer for us. And quite frankly, I think that it was able to alleviate enough pressure that it enabled us to envision being able to have a third child. I'm not sure that we would have been able to do it if we hadn't had that help. We love the cultural experience of having someone from another country in our home, teaching our children their language. We're racking up the number of languages in which our children can count to 10. And we keep in touch with our au pairs when they go home. We follow up with how they're doing. Our kids love talking with them. And it's just, we look on the globe to see where they are, in what city they live. And I think at this very young age, it's helping our children to expand their horizons of understanding different cultures around the world.
You hit on so many really important points. I love the idea of hot spots of time because that's so true for parents. You have these times during the day that you really need help, and they don't necessarily fall in between that typical childcare window. So flexibility sounds super important. And I love all of your comments about cultural exchange because we always say cultural exchange is the beating heart of the Au Pair in America program. On that same topic of cultural exchange, how do you balance your needs as a family with your au pair's desire to travel and see the United States and have a cultural experience of their own?
So I think, like with almost anything, the key is communication and laying out right. Also, when we're interviewing to find the right person to come in our home, getting a deep understanding of what it is that they want to experience in coming to us, what kind of time that's going to take, and knowing our schedule well and knowing our needs well and being able to communicate those up front so that we can find the person, not only who's the right personality, not only who's the right fit for our kids and the right fit for our family, but also that their routine is the right fit for our routine. And as we've gone through the interview process, we're 3 years in now. And so for this third time, we had an au pair that we loved and we had such good chemistry. But as she shared with us a little bit more about what she wanted to do when she was here, I just felt like it wasn't going to be compatible with our routine. And I shared that with her. I asked her what she thought. She knew just what she wanted. We knew what we needed. And she commented that she appreciated how well we understood the program and understood what it was that she was going to want to experience while she was here, and that it wasn't the right fit. And so I think knowing what we need and being able to clearly articulate what our expectations are, what the time routine is going to be, has been really helpful. And then, of course, we want them to have a great time. This only works if everybody is happy. And we always tell our au pairs that it only works if everybody is happy. So we're going to be clear about what our needs are. And then in their spare time, we want to help them. We want to make recommendations of places for them to go and things for them to see. And it's worked out really beautifully.
It sounds like that open and honest communication from the jump is really important. And I love your thoughts about clear expectations and really doing smart interviewing on the front end. That's really, really smart. Back to the cultural exchange of it all. I know we are all learning how to count to 10 in multiple different languages. What else can you share about the cultural exchange experience? Something that you've learned from an au pair, a favorite dish that they've shared, or a cool cultural event or holiday that you love celebrating now?
Oh, there are so many. So one of our au pairs loves to cook, and she was constantly bringing recipes from her country, teaching our kids about foods from her country, making dinner. It was something that it wasn't in her responsibilities to make dinner for the family, but it was something that she really loved doing. Actually, there's a bread recipe that she made. She was our first au pair with us 3 years ago. And there was a bread recipe that she made that I still make every week. And I think about her every time I make it. It was something I had wanted to do. And she had such a simple and delicious way of doing it that she just showed me, despite the crazy demanding schedule, that it's possible to do it. And I still do it. So it was a real lasting gift to our family.
I love that. And I love that you mentioned that you still stay in touch with your au pairs. And that's such a beautiful benefit of the experience, right? We have host families who visit their au pairs in their home country and au pairs who come back and holiday cards and Facebook friendships and all the rest. That's great. Shifting gears just a little bit, I would love to know what your thoughts are on childcare costs in your area. Can you talk a little bit about cost of childcare in California specifically?
I think before we started kind of the au pair search, it was really important for us to understand how much it costs for a nanny or a part-time nanny, or they even call it a mommy helper here in Southern California. The cost for the au pair program is significantly cheaper, which was kind of shocking. The second thing that we talked about previously was you just don't get that flexibility in kind of a traditional nanny sense. I mean, typically the people that we were talking with, would only be able to have certain hours of the day. So it was a very kind of regimented schedule. And as we kind of started this journey in the midst of COVID, we really needed that kind of additional flexibility, knowing kids would often get sick, schedules that have to change, at a moment's notice. And once we kind of ran the numbers and saw that, the au pair program is actually significantly cheaper, even factoring in all the costs with the agency and so forth, it really just made the decision a no-brainer.
I noticed that you mentioned the kids getting sick and kind of those unexpected things that pop up in parenting. We call them life's little surprises at Au Pair in America. And au pairs are such an important option when it comes to all of those things that maybe you don't even think about popping up. One other question, and I know you've been out of the childcare search game for several years, but maybe in talking to friends and neighbors, do you have a sense for the availability of childcare in your area? Are there wait lists? Is it possible to get in a center environment?
It's really hit or miss. I think it's really, really hit or miss. And I think also, getting into a center is one thing. But I think there's also an accountability factor. We know a lot of families, dear friends of ours, very hardworking people whose nannies just quit with no notice. And they are just in a pickle time and again. And again, the reliability of having somebody who's here and having set the expectation that we will always do our schedule in advance, but sometimes there's something that's going to come up, and building the relationship with the person they're here, they're living in our home. So we have a very close relationship and we establish trust, knowing that we're going to have somebody to rely upon when those things do come up has been invaluable.
Flexibility, reliability, affordability. I can see why you're singing the praises of the program throughout your town. My final question for you is, if you had to describe your experience hosting an au pair in one word, what would it be?
I would say relief. There were so many times that I was in such stressful situations on my way out of town to run a big event, getting a call from our kids' daycare that one of them was sick and needed to be picked up. Jason was out of the country. Babysitter wasn't answering her phone, couldn't get a hold of anyone, going, okay, am I turning around and going back? Am I sending my assistant to go do the event? Am I canceling my event? And, I think so often about that particular moment that I don't have to worry. There's so much uncertainty and so much fluctuation when one has small children. And this was just a huge variable that I don't have to worry about anymore. I know that there's somebody reliable whom I trust, who's available, who will be there for my kids in those moments of the highest pressure. It's terrific.
That's great. And I can hear your junior assistant agreeing with you in the background. There's nothing better than a happy baby. Well, thank you both so much for your time and all your great thoughts. We appreciate you being a great host family, and it was such a pleasure chatting with you.
Thank you. Thanks, Robin.